All right, we now speak to our senior reporter in Parliament, that's Bulelani Phillips. He joins us via Zoom to unpack today's proceedings with regards to the fitness hearings for Advocate Busiswe Mkhwebane to hold office. A very good afternoon to you, Bulelani. All right, let's begin here. Advocate Dali Mpofu has argued about this meeting that's been much spoken about that had supposedly taken place between former President Jacob Zuma and Advocate Busisiwe Mkhwebane, which they say never actually did happen. Talk to us about this and the relevance really of this meeting, because it seems to be taking really quite a center stage in this whole inquiry into the fitness of Advocate Mkhwebane to hold office, and whether did this really happen. I mean, we're hearing, of course, from the witness who's saying that he doesn't know anything about this particular meeting. So it seems that this whole issue about the meeting is actually going nowhere. But take us through today's proceedings.
Well, good afternoon to you, Flo, and to the viewers at home. Of course, it depends on which side of the coin you are, if you would want to believe whether there was this meeting or there was not. But according to the advocate Dali Mpofu, who's representing the suspended public protector, he's saying that the public protector has been criminally charged in relation to this secret meeting that allegedly occurred, and saying that the NPA has actually failed in court to actually prove that whether this did indeed happen. But he's saying that he would want to clarify this thing in order to avoid calling former President Jacob Zuma to come and actually to give his account or to confirm or deny whether this meeting actually did happen. But in doing that, he's saying that one of the people who has been working closely with the suspended public protector has been the witness that is on the stand today, Mr. Tebogo Kekana, and he was quizzed on whether he was aware whether the suspended public protector had actually met the former president, and he actually answered in the negative. And therefore, Advocate Mpofu is saying that when they return and when the public protector does take the stand, she will actually testify that such a meeting did actually not occur. Flo?
All right. And I mean, going forward now, where are we? I mean, last week we were hearing quite a bit from Johan Lochrenberg, and perhaps you can just very quickly wrap that up for us, and also where that went, because he was also seen as one of those witnesses who'd really sort of point to whether or not, the public protector is fit to hold office. He was seen as quite a good witness on the other side, or what was anticipated to have been a good witness. Maybe you can just take us through and bring us back to where we are today and going forward in this point.
Well, essentially, the inquiry, when it began, it actually called a constitutional expert, Mr. Ibrahim, who was actually giving the framework in terms of the constitutional framework of the country and how, this kind of work it fits into that. And but again, his standing as a witness, as an expert witness, was actually called into question by Advocate Dali Mpofu. We then moved on to the former SARS executive, Mr. Johan Lochrenberg, and basically his testimony was around how he felt that he was unfairly dealt with by the public protector when she was conducting that investigation into the so-called rogue unit at SARS. He's saying that given that he was the head of that unit, he was never given an opportunity to actually to give his side of the story in the formulation or compilation of the final report, and he found that this was actually contravening his rights of reply, and that's why he's saying that he took the matter to court and that report was eventually set aside. So those are the two witnesses that we've seen so far, and the witness that is on the stand now is somebody who has actually worked closely with the suspended public protector, and with him what they are trying to say is that in the formulation or compilation of this CX report, he found that the constitutional amendment proposal that was in the recommendations of that report was not based in law and was actually unwarranted because it went beyond the scope of their investigation. So he's saying that the judgment of the public protector, even if she was advised against some of these proposals or recommendations, she actually, kind of dismissed them. And he's saying that she is not a fit and proper person to actually occupy that person, given that kind of conduct. And again, of course, there is a counter argument around the credibility of Mr. Tebogo Kekana, in that he has been a person who was dismissed from the office in 2020 after being charged of leaking confidential information in that office. And Advocate Dali Mpofu says that in the final ruling of that disciplinary hearing, the presiding advocate had actually found that in some of the evidence that he had given, he had actually shown dishonesty, and therefore the committee must actually be circumspect in actually considering his evidence in the committee. Flo?
All right, Bulelani, many thanks to you. Bulelani, of course, covering the inquiry into the fitness of Advocate Busiswe Mkhwebane to hold office, which is underway currently in Parliament.